For many years I have intimately known the Himalayas, the mighty ranges of the west, as well as the towering peaks of the east. My first impressions and visions, called forth by their unparalleled beauty and grandeur, have only become more vivid as years went by, and their message has become even more eloquent. Gradually their outward form and their inner meaning have assumed a new significance, blended into one, and transmuted by the very power residing in the multiple concepts for which the Himalayas stand. This great temple of nature, reserved for the true seekers after truth in all its forms. From time immemorial, the best aspirations of mankind, the loftiest concepts and legends have been woven about the Himalayas. Throughout the world, whenever the word Himalayas is pronounced, people become attentive, and a special eagerness and expectation light up their countenance. It is not only the concept of tremendous heights, the call of unconquered peaks, uncharted glaciers and valleys, or the unbelievable richness of vegetation and animal kingdoms. There is something else besides these outward attractions. There is a greater and deeper significance the word Himalayas conveys to the listeners, as if an unseen spiritual influence lives in this very word, a special magnet which made the Himalayas the great center of spiritual pilgrimage. Innumerable are the shrines and caves dotting the valleys and slopes of the Himavat. Everyone knows Kailas, Manasarovar, Badrinath, Kedarnath, Ravalsar, Triloknath, the caves of Arjun and Milarepa, these centers of spiritual search and aspiration. But how many are the shrines unknown, reserved for the true seekers after truth, either on this or the other side of the range? The great rishis directed their holy quest towards the Himalayas. Mighty teachings and doctrines were born under their towering peaks. Is it not strange that throughout the world, the great teachers of whatever race or faith have always gone to the heights to receive some of their greatest revelations? Does height, does eternal snow, the rarefied atmosphere, contribute towards greater lucidity? Or is it in order to rise above the sphere of the turmoil of life? Those of you who have climbed great heights know how active becomes your mind, how light and even unnecessary becomes sleep. Are these some of the qualities that attracted the great searchers after truth from time immemorial? Pure thoughts are born in pure places, in places unsullied by the lower selfish passions generated in the struggle for existence and self-gratification. The caravan is nearing the highest point of the pass. The men dismount and gather bright primulas. Reverently they place these offerings on the nearby rocks to the devas who live on those peaks. Truly, this is the sentiment unconsciously expressed by everyone when the word Himalayas is pronounced, the abode of the devas. The great sages and rishis, perhaps they could contact these spiritual influences. They most certainly could, or else they would not turn toward these mighty peaks. These great souls, these brilliant minds who have given us the loftiest philosophies, systems, could they ever be justly suspected of not knowing what place was best for the generation of transcendental thought? These great philosophers explained the mysteries of nature long before science was able to demonstrate them. The atomic theory, the theory of relativity and vibration, the Maya and Tattvams. They proclaimed telepathy long before the human brain was found to emit waves. The conscious awakened mind must and can attune itself to the influences of the cosmos and can read the book of life. It is part of life itself, this individual focus of conscious existence, hence partaking of all its influences. And if it is endowed with the faculty of self-realization and cognition, with individual consciousness, truly, there can be no limits to what the human mind can achieve and know. Some of these marvelous mysteries of the subconscious we see in certain prodigies and in the realm of hypnotism. The pilgrims gather at a wayside shrine. Have you ever heard of the shining ones, the snowmen, and those who live beyond the eternal snows? Quietly flows the narrative, attentive are the faces, and new hope and understanding unite these accidental passing friends. There is always some truth at the foundation of every legend, of every apocryph. The quest of the spirit. Forever it remains the supreme effort of mankind, the inborn aspiration to something beyond the apparent emptiness of everyday life. All great minds stop to ponder over the mysteries of life and death, and they told us that this life here on earth, this short evanescent existence, is not a mere accident, to come and to go, snuffed out by death for some unknown purpose. This life is only the means for the spirit to gain experience, and when the material existence has come to an end, the real man continues in a different state and sphere. Could one logically accept or believe that the products of the human mind, systems, philosophies, great works of art, and all manifestations of human genius, to survive for centuries and millenniums, are the products of a finite mind, and the Creator, the cause of all these manifestations, has disappeared and exists no more? Beyond all conflagrations and strife, beyond all destruction and violence, stand the eternal concept of spirit. Mightily stand the Himalayas, their ramparts drawn towards heaven. Along the winding valleys and gorges, Guru Charaka gathereth his precious healing herbs. Yun Xiang, that amazing Chinese traveler, 13 centuries ago described the medicinal plants found on the Himalayas. The Pandavas came here to rest, wearied by the great struggle. And the Tibetan poet Saint Milarepa listened to the echoes of nature and voices from beyond. What memories lie concealed in the mighty folds of these ranges? The great Gautama in search of the salvation of mankind, Rishi Vyas, Rishi Narada, Rishi Agastya. Innumerable are the noble souls to find their best inspirations in the shadow of these towering peaks, and to carry them down again to struggling humanity. Humanity caught in the coils of ignorance and selfishness. The great Pythagoras, Apollonius of Tyana, they have certainly contacted these illuminate men when treading the soil of India in search of wisdom. The Lama says, "I must go, my teacher calls me." His pilgrimage on earth is coming to an end. But where does he live, your teacher? He is now at Kailas, and it will take me months to reach him there. Thus speaks a Lama hermit, having heard the voice of his Guru 1,000 miles away. Mysteries still live along the slopes of the Himalayas. They are ever present for him who searches for them with an open heart, not for the sake of curiosity or for derision. Let us look with an unprejudiced mind for the real understanding of life. We shall find it all around us, and it will regenerate our outlook and our habits. How wonderfully rich becomes once we contact these eternal values. Everything assumes a different meaning and purpose. And it is precisely now, in these days of Armageddon, that we must think of the sublime truth, real and eternal, beyond every conflict and destruction. Beyond the ravages of strife, the spirit of the Himalayas distills its influence throughout the world. We find it in the lofty philosophies. We find it in the arts, in poetry, in music, in painting, sculpture, and architecture. the great temple of Kailas at Ellora. Its outline was drawn after the holy summits of Kailas to inspire and remind those who were far from the mighty ranges of those profiles and masses that meant so much to the builders. How unforgettably beautiful are these majestic ranges. Every possible variety of form and color is theirs. Through the narrow, winding gorges, mighty rivers carry the message of the snows into the distant plains. The three sacred life-givers of toiling millions, the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and the Indus. Waterfalls break into 1,000 rainbows, and relentless glaciers wind their way down into dark precipices. The ever-present, all-pervading pulse of life scattering, pulverizing rocks and growing glittering crystals. The eternal, proteus life, in its infinite manifestations, combining and recombining forms, dissolving them in order to bring them again into objectivity under a fresh impulse and in new combinations. One can truly say, such riches of natural beauty as are found in the Himalayas are not to be seen anywhere on this earth. Kanchenjunga, the guardian of the five treasures, like a priceless necklace of shimmering pinkish pearls, floating above the hazy valleys and hills, the transcendental vision of another world of sublime beauty to draw our spirit upwards. Himavat, the birthplace of immortal thought. The loftiest concepts hover over thy mighty peaks. Shambhala, the Holy Grail, the heavenly Jerusalem, are symbols of the interlinked aspirations and visions of so many different ages and people, the eager and earnest hope of weary mankind, and the eternal affirmation of the great philosophers. Himavat the beautiful, thou hast given us our greatest treasures, and forever thou shalt remain the guardian of the greatest mystery, the holy marriage of heaven and earth.
You are listening to Dr. Svetoslav Roerich, the renowned painter on the spirit of the Himalayas. This broadcast came to you from All India Radio Bangalore and Bhadravati.